I used to believe silence meant peace. Now I know. Silence can also be a warning. Every night at 10:47 p.m., the house would settle. The hum of the fridge, the soft ticking of the wall clock. My breath, slow and trusting. I was a wife who believed she was loved. Mark would sit across from me on the couch, scrolling on his phone. The blue light painted his face like a stranger's. "Long day?" I asked, trying to sound normal. "Yeah," he said, without looking up. "Same as always." Same as always. That was the first lie. I leaned my head on his shoulder. He stiffened, just for a second. Not enough to accuse, enough to feel. "Are you okay?" I whispered. He smiled, a careful smile. "Of course, why wouldn't I be?" "Because you don't touch me anymore," I thought, but I didn't say it. Lily came over that night, my best friend, my sister by choice, the woman who knew every crack in my heart. She walked in with her usual warmth, hugging me tight. "You look tired," she said softly. I laughed. "Life, you know?" Her eyes flicked toward Mark. Too quick, too quiet. Mark stood up. "Wine?" he asked. "For all of us," Lily said. Her voice was light, almost playful. As he walked to the kitchen, she leaned closer to me. "You're lucky, Anna," she whispered. "Most men don't come home anymore." I smiled. If only I knew what that sentence really meant. Later, while Lily was in the bathroom, I noticed Mark's phone buzzing on the table. One message, then another. I didn't read them. I didn't touch the phone, but I saw the name. Lily. My chest tightened. When she came back, Mark's phone was already in his pocket. "Everything okay?" I asked, my voice suddenly dry. "Yes," they said, at the same time. Silence fell between the three of us. Heavy. Loaded. That night after Lily left, I stood alone at the window, watching her car disappear. Something inside me whispered, "This is not just distance. This is not just marriage growing cold. This is the beginning of a betrayal." And I was standing right in the middle of it. Blind, loyal, and completely unprepared. The next morning, I woke up before the alarm. Mark was already gone. His side of the bed was cold, untouched, like he never slept there at all. I stared at the ceiling, listening to the house breathe without him. The walls felt closer. The silence felt louder. I checked the time. 6:12 a.m. He never left that early. When he came home that night, it was raining. The kind of rain that turns the city gray and blurs the streetlights into long, trembling lines. I was standing in the kitchen, pretending to cook dinner I no longer wanted to eat. The door opened. "You're home late," I said, not turning around. "Traffic," Mark replied quickly. Too quickly. I faced him. "Traffic at 10:30? He dropped his keys harder than necessary. "I don't want to fight tonight, Anna." "Fight. That word again." "I'm not fighting," I said. "I'm asking." He loosened his tie, avoiding my eyes. "Why are you suddenly interrogating me?" Suddenly. I stepped closer. "When did Lily start texting you so much?" That got his attention. He froze. Just for a second. But I saw it. "What?" He laughed. "She's your best friend." "She texts you more than she texts me." "That's not true." "Then show me your phone." The air shifted. Mark's jaw tightened. "Why would I do that?" "Because married people don't hide things." He slipped past me, heading toward the bedroom. "I'm tired, Anna." I followed him. So am I. Tired of feeling like I'm married to a ghost. He turned around sharply. "What do you want from me?" The question felt like a slap. "I want my husband back." For a moment, something flickered in his eyes. Guilt, fear, or maybe annoyance. "I'm still here," he said. But his voice didn't believe it. 2 days later, Lily asked me to meet for coffee. Her message was sweet. Miss you. You've been quiet. Let's talk. We sat at our usual table by the window, the same place we'd laughed, cried, planned our futures. She wrapped her hands around her cup. You seem distant, she said gently. I looked at her face, familiar, beautiful, unreadable. So do you. She smiled. Life gets busy. Mark says the same thing. Her fingers tightened. Oh, she asked, pretending not to care. Is everything okay between you two? I leaned forward. Are you sleeping with my husband? The question landed like a gunshot. People laughed at nearby tables. Spoons clinked. Life went on. Lily's face drained of color. Anna, why would you ask something like that? Answer me. She shook her head, eyes shining with tears. No, of course not. That's insane. Then why does he hide his phone? Men do that. Sometimes. Why do you text him late at night? She swallowed. He was worried about you. That made me laugh. He doesn't talk to me, I said. But he talks to you? She reached for my hand. You're imagining things. I pulled away. You used to tell me the truth, even when it hurt. Her voice dropped. I still do. But her eyes didn't meet mine. That night, Mark fell asleep on the couch. His phone buzzed. Once, twice. I stood there, staring at it like it was a live wire. Then I picked it up. No lock, no protection. Like he wanted to be caught. Or believed he never would. The messages were short, intimate, careless. Lily, I can't keep lying to her. Mark, just a little longer. Lily, she looked at me today. I think she knows. Mark, she trusts you. She always has. My hands started shaking. I scrolled. Photos, inside jokes, memories I was never part of. And then one message burned itself into my mind. Mark, I love you, but we have to be careful. I dropped the phone. The sound echoed through the room. Mark woke up. What are you doing? He snapped. I held the phone up. Say it again, I said calmly. Say you're not cheating. He stared at me. Seconds passed. Long, cruel seconds. Then he sighed. I didn't plan for this to happen. That was his confession. So it's true, I whispered. It just happened, he said. You wouldn't understand. I laughed. A broken sound. I understand betrayal. He stood up. This doesn't mean I don't care about you. Don't, I said. Don't insult me like that. You pushed me away. No, I said sharply. You walked away, quietly, cowardly. He looked angry now. You're not innocent either. I stared at him. I trusted you. Silence swallowed the room. I drove to Lily's apartment in the middle of the night. I didn't knock. I banged. She opened the door in pajamas, eyes wide. Anna, how long? I demanded. She started crying. I didn't mean, how long? She stepped back, letting me in. It started when you were sick, she whispered. You weren't yourself. He needed someone. I laughed again. So you volunteered? She sobbed. I love him. The words hit harder than the truth. He's my husband. I know, she cried. That's why it hurts. Something inside me finally broke. I turned and walked out. No screaming, no revenge, just clarity. That night, I understood something simple and terrible. The people who know you best also know exactly how to destroy you. I didn't go home that night. I drove until the city lights thinned into darkness, until the road felt as empty as my chest. I parked outside a closed grocery store and sat there, gripping the steering wheel like it was the only thing keeping me alive. My phone kept vibrating. Mark again. Then, Lily. I turned the phone face down. For the first time in years, no one knew where I was, and that terrified them. By morning, I had made a decision. Not a dramatic one, not a brave one, a cold one. I went back to the house at 8:03 a.m. Mark was pacing the living room like an animal trapped in a cage. He looked relieved when he saw me. "Thank God," he said. "We need to talk." I walked past him. There's nothing left to talk about. He followed me into the bedroom. "Anna, don't do this. We can fix it." I started packing. "You didn't trip and fall into my best friend," I said calmly. "You chose her. Every day." He slammed his hand against the wall. "You're overreacting." That word. I turned slowly. "Say that again." He didn't. Lily arrived an hour later. I didn't invite her. Mark did. She stood in the doorway, eyes red, hands shaking. "I just want to explain," she said. I laughed. Sharp, humorless. "Explain. What?" "How you looked me in the eye and lied. How you slept with my husband and still asked me about my feelings." Mark stepped between us. "This is my fault," he said quickly. I stared at him. "Don't protect her now," I said. "You didn't protect me." Lily whispered, "Anna, please." I cut her off. "How long were you planning to keep me stupid?" She flinched. "We were going to tell you." "When?" I asked. "After I wasted 10 years? After you replaced me completely?" Silence. That was my answer. I pulled the phone from my pocket. "I took screenshots," I said. Mark's face drained of color. "Delete them." "No. Anna, that's private. You made it public the moment you betrayed me." Lily started crying harder. "You'll ruin everything." I looked at her. "You already ruined mine." I called Mark's mother. On speaker. "Hi, Mom," I said. "I thought you should hear this from me." Mark lunged for the phone. "Stop!" I held it out of reach. "Your son is having an affair," I said clearly. "With my best friend." The silence on the other end was heavy. "Oh," she said quietly. Lily covered her mouth. Mark whispered, "You're destroying my life." I smiled for the first time in days. "No," I said. "I'm telling the truth." Then I called Lily's fiancé. Yes, she had one. His voice was sleepy, confused. "Is Lily okay?" "No," I said, "but she will be, eventually." I told him everything. Lily screamed, "Stop! Please stop!" Mark shouted my name. I ended the call. The room felt like it had been bombed. "You didn't have to do that," Mark said, his voice low and dangerous. "I didn't have to do anything," I replied. "But you didn't give me a single reason to protect you." Lily collapsed onto the couch, sobbing. "I never meant to hurt you." I walked toward her. "You hurt me the moment you chose him over me." She looked up. "He said your marriage was already dead." I turned to Mark. "Did you tell her that?" He didn't answer. That was enough. I took off my wedding ring and placed it on the table. It made a small sound. Soft. Final. Mark stared at it like it was a body. "You don't mean that?" "I do. You can't just walk away." "I already did," I said. He grabbed my arm. "Anna, listen to me." I pulled free. "Don't touch me." The room went still. Even Lily stopped crying. "You don't get access to my body anymore," I said. "Not after what you did." I picked up my suitcase. Mark blocked the door. "If you leave," he said, "we're done." I met his eyes. "We were done the moment you chose her." He moved aside. That was the last gift he ever gave me. Outside, the air felt sharper, cleaner. My phone buzzed again. Messages poured in. Friends, family, questions, shock. Let's see us. Truth spreads fast when it's ugly. I drove away without looking back. By nightfall, consequences hit hard. Mark's boss called. Office gossip moves faster than loyalty. Lily's fiancé packed his things. Her parents stopped answering her calls. They didn't lose love quietly. They lost it loudly, publicly, permanently. And me? I sat alone in a hotel room, staring at my reflection in the mirror. My eyes looked older, but clearer. I whispered to myself, they don't get to destroy me twice. That night I cried, not because I wanted them back, but because I finally accepted this truth. Love doesn't betray you. People do. And when they do, there is no way back. The silence after destruction is not peaceful. It's loud. It followed me into the hotel room, sat beside me on the bed, breathed down my neck while I tried to sleep. No screaming, no chaos. Just memories replaying themselves like punishment. I lay awake staring at the ceiling, watching, headlights crawl across the walls like ghosts passing through my life. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw them. Not together. That would have been easier. I saw moments. Mark laughing at something Lily whispered. Lily hugging me too tightly, too long. Mark's hand pulling away when I reached for it. My brain became my enemy. By morning, the messages started. Not apologies. Excuses. Mark. We need to talk like adults. Lily. I can't eat. I can't breathe. Please answer me. I didn't reply. Silence is a weapon when used correctly. I went for a walk. No makeup, sunglasses, hoodie pulled low. The city didn't care that my life had exploded. People rushed past me with coffee cups and phone calls and laughter. I envied them. At a crosswalk, my phone rang. Mark. I answered. Anna. He said immediately. Where are you? You lost the right to know. He exhaled sharply. Don't do this. You're punishing everyone. Everyone? I laughed softly. Or just you? You're enjoying this, he accused. No, I said. I'm surviving it. There was a pause. You ruined Lily's life, he said. I stopped walking. You ruined mine, I replied. She just stood close enough to benefit. He lowered his voice. You don't have to be this cold. Cold. After everything, cold was his accusation. You taught me how, I said, and hung up. That afternoon, Lily broke the silence. She sent a voice message. Her voice was shaking, fragile, desperate. Anna, I know you hate me. I deserve it. But please understand. I was lonely. He made me feel seen. I didn't mean for it to go this far. I listened once, then again, and then I deleted it. Lonely is not an excuse. Being seen does not justify betrayal. The psychological warfare began quietly. Mutual friends started reaching out. Careful messages. Neutral tones. I don't want to take sides, but you know Mark's not a bad guy. People make mistakes. Mistakes spill coffee. Mistakes forget anniversaries. Mistakes do not sleep with your wife's best friend. I stopped explaining myself. Let them wonder. Let them sit with incomplete stories. Truth doesn't beg. One night, I dreamed I was screaming, but no sound came out. I woke up shaking, heart racing, my mouth dry like I'd been swallowing sand. Trauma is strange like that. It doesn't knock. It breaks in. A week later, I returned to the house to get the rest of my things. Mark wasn't there. Lily was. She stood in the living room like a trespasser who had started believing she belonged. You shouldn't be here, I said calmly. She flinched. He said I could stay. I looked around. My couch, my photos, turned face down, my space contaminated. Enjoy it while you can, I said. Her eyes filled with tears. You don't have to be cruel. I stepped closer. You took my marriage, my trust, my sense of reality. My voice stayed steady. This is me being restrained. She whispered, he loves me. I smiled. He loved me too, I said, until he didn't. Her confidence cracked. Mark walked in moments later. The tension hit the room like electricity. You came back, he said. Temporarily. He looked thinner, older. Regret had finally reached his face. We're struggling, he admitted quietly. I raised an eyebrow. That didn't take long. Lily snapped, "Don't talk to him like that." I turned to her slowly. "Don't speak to me like you're entitled to a voice in my life." She went silent. Mark rubbed his face. "This isn't what I imagined." I nodded. "It never is." As I packed, Mark hovered in doorways, watching. "You don't have to do this alone," he said at one point. I stopped folding. "You cheated on me," I said. "You lied to me. You humiliated me. And now you want emotional access?" Hiwayon opened his mouth. I raised a hand. "No." That one word ended the conversation. That night, alone again, the anger came. Not loud. Focused. I opened my laptop. I changed passwords. Closed joint accounts. Spoke to a lawyer. Each click was a reclaiming. Each decision sharpened me. This wasn't revenge. This was control. Weeks passed. Mark called less. Lily disappeared entirely. But the war inside my head continued. I questioned everything. Was I boring? Too trusting? Too easy to replace? Then one morning, standing in the bathroom, staring at my reflection, I said out loud, "They chose betrayal. Not because I was lacking, but because they were." The words felt strange, but true. Psychological warfare doesn't end when they disappear. It ends when you stop replaying them. And I was getting close. Very close. Regret doesn't arrive loudly. It waits until you're weak. Until your choices stop loving you back. That's when Mark came knocking. It started with a text at 2:14 a.m. "I miss you." 3 words. Empty. Carefully timed. I stared at my phone in the dark, listening to the hum of the air conditioner in my new apartment. This place was small, clean, temporary. Like my patience. I didn't reply. 5 minutes later, Lily moved out. That one got my attention, not because I cared, but because I knew what came next. The call came the next day. Mark sounded tired. Fractured. "Can we talk?" he asked. "Just once." I checked the time. "I have 10 minutes, I said. We met at a coffee shop halfway between our old life and my new one. Neutral ground. He looked worse than before. Unshaven. Dark circles. Clothes wrinkled like he'd slept in them. "You look good," he said. I didn't thank him. "She's not okay," he said quickly, stirring his coffee he hadn't touched. "Neither was I replied. He winced. "She's been crying nonstop. She lost her job. Her parents won't speak to her." I leaned back. "And?" He looked up, confused. "And what? And why are you telling me this?" He hesitated. "I thought you should know." "No," I said calmly. "You thought it would soften me." His jaw tightened. "I made a mistake." I smiled slightly. "You made a series of choices." He reached across the table. I didn't take his hand. "I don't love her," he said quickly. "I never did." "Then why did you protect her?" I asked. He looked down. "She made me feel wanted." I laughed softly. "I was your wife. I know. You just didn't value it." Silence stretched between us. "She compares herself to you," he said suddenly. That surprised me. "All the time," he continued. "She says she'll never be you, that she ruined everything." I met his eyes. "And now you're here." "Yes," he admitted, "because I realized what I lost." Too late. He leaned forward. "We could start over." I studied his face. The man I once planned a future with. "Tell me something," I said. "If I had never found out, would you still be with her?" He didn't answer. I stood up. "That's your answer." That night, Lily messaged me. Long, desperate, unfiltered. "He doesn't look at me anymore. He says my name like it hurts. I think he still loves you." I didn't respond. but I felt something shift. Not pity. Relief. Mark called again 2 days later. "I made a therapy appointment," he said quickly, like it was a prize. "I'm proud of you," I replied honestly. Hope flashed across his face, until I added, "For you?" He froze. "You're not coming back." "No. But we built a life. You burned it." Lily showed up outside my building a week later. She looked smaller, broken in a way that wasn't performative anymore. "I lost him," she said immediately. I crossed my arms. "You never had him." She shook her head. "He talks about you like you're a ghost." I nodded. "That's appropriate." She stepped closer. "I hate myself." I believed her. "I don't need your forgiveness," she whispered. "I just need you to know I'm paying for it." I looked at her carefully. "You are," I said, "and that's not my responsibility to fix." She cried. I walked past her. Later that night, Mark sent one last message. "I would do anything to get you back." I typed, then erased, then typed again. Anything would have been loyalty. I blocked his number. Power doesn't always look like anger. Sometimes it looks like peace. And I was finally choosing it. I thought blocking Mark would end it. It didn't. It just changed the shape of the darkness. When someone loses control of a story, they try to rewrite it. Mark started telling people his version. Not lies. Worse. Half-truths. He said we grew apart. He said I was emotionally distant. He said Lily was confused. I heard it through friends who tried to sound neutral and failed. "You know he's struggling," one of them said carefully. "So was I replied. "I just didn't cheat." That usually ended the conversation. Mark began unraveling publicly. Missed work, angry emails, a warning from HR. Lily left the city quietly, like a stain trying to disappear. But Mark stayed, and he spiraled where everyone could see. One night, my doorbell rang at 11:48 p.m. I didn't have to look through the peephole. I knew. "Anna," his voice cracked through the door. "Please." I stayed silent. "I'm not drunk," he added quickly. "I just need to see you." That made it worse. I opened the door halfway, chain still on. "What do you want?" His eyes were red. Not crying. Empty. "I don't recognize myself anymore," he said. I nodded. "That's not my emergency." He started showing up places. The gym, the grocery store, my favorite cafe. Always by accident. Always watching me like I might vanish. Psychological warfare isn't always aggressive. Sometimes it's desperate. I overheard him one afternoon, speaking to a mutual friend. "She's different now," he said. Colder. Like she erased me. I smiled to myself. Good. Then came the public breakdown. Mark posted a long message online at 3 a.m. about love, loss, regret. He didn't name me. He didn't have to. People commented heart emojis. Sympathy. "Stay strong, brother." I closed the app. Victimhood was his last costume. The next day, Lily emailed me. Not a message. A confession. 6 pages. Every lie. Every secret meeting. Every time she sat on my couch knowing she was sleeping with my husband. "I don't expect forgiveness," she wrote. "I just can't carry this alone anymore." I didn't reply, but I forwarded it to my lawyer. Dark doesn't always mean cruel. Sometimes it means prepared. Mark lost his job 2 weeks later. Not because of me, because chaos always leaks. He called from a blocked number. I answered once. "I have nothing left," he said. I closed my eyes. "You still have accountability," I replied. He laughed bitterly. "You've changed." "Yes," I said. "I survived you." That night, I sat alone in my apartment, lights off, city glowing through the window. I didn't feel victorious. I felt clean, like I'd burned an infection out of my life. People think darkness means you're broken. It doesn't. Darkness is where you stop pretending. And I was done pretending that love ever lived where loyalty died. There's a strange guilt that comes with surviving someone who didn't. It creeps in when you're finally calm, when your life starts to feel steady again. It asks dangerous questions. What if I had stayed? What if I had forgiven? But guilt is a liar that only speaks when the truth has already won. Mark didn't fall all at once. He unraveled in pieces. I saw it from a distance, the way you watch a storm from a window. Safe, dry, detached. He moved out of the house, sold the car, stopped answering people. The man who once managed everything with control and charm became someone people whispered about. Have you heard about Mark? I always answered the same way. No. And I meant it. One afternoon I ran into his sister at the pharmacy. She looked exhausted. He's not okay, she said immediately, like she'd been holding it in. I nodded politely. I hope he gets help. She studied my face. How can you be so calm? I met her eyes. Because chaos no longer lives with me. She looked away. Mark tried once more. A handwritten letter. Slid under my door like a confession that arrived too late. I read it standing up. I replay our life every night. I see the moment I ruined everything. You were the best thing that ever happened to me. I folded it carefully, then I threw it away. Not out of anger. Out of clarity. Lily surfaced again through rumors. She was drinking heavily, crying in bars, telling strangers she ruined her life for love. Love. The word lost all meaning when spoken by people who destroyed others for it. One evening, Mark showed up at the cafe where I was meeting a friend. He looked thinner than ever. Like grief had been eating him from the inside. He didn't sit. He stood there, hands shaking. Just tell me one thing, he said quietly. My friend excused herself immediately. What? I asked. Do you ever miss me? The question was naked, terrifyingly honest. I considered it. I miss the version of you that never existed, I said. Something in his face collapsed. That's worse, he whispered. I know. He didn't follow me when I left. That's how I knew it was over. Darkness doesn't always end with closure. Sometimes it ends with acceptance, and sometimes it ends with watching someone live inside the consequences they built. I didn't push him. I didn't save him. I let gravity do its work. That night, I stood in front of my mirror and realized something terrifying and beautiful. I was no longer afraid of losing him. I had already survived it. The end didn't arrive with fireworks. It arrived on an ordinary morning. Sunlight slipped through the curtains of my apartment, soft and patient, like it had all the time in the world. I stood barefoot in the kitchen, drinking coffee that was finally mine alone. No shared routines, no silent resentment hovering in the air. For the first time in a long time, my mind was quiet, not empty. Clear. I moved through my days differently now. Slower, more deliberate. I stopped explaining my story to people who only wanted drama. I stopped defending decisions that saved my life. Peace doesn't announce itself. It settles. One afternoon, I went back to the old neighborhood, not to revisit the house, but to prove something to myself. I walked past it without stopping. The windows were dark. The yard was overgrown. A place can hold memories without holding power. And that house had none left over me. The final truth came unexpectedly. A mutual acquaintance mentioned Mark in passing. He asked about you, she said carefully. He said losing you was the moment his life split in two. I nodded. That's accurate. She waited for more. I didn't give it. Because here's the truth no one talks about. You don't win by being remembered. You win by no longer needing to be. That night, I sat alone on my balcony, city lights blinking below like distant stars. I thought about love. Not the dramatic kind. Not the desperate kind. The quiet kind that doesn't betray you when things get difficult. I realized something simple and devastating. Mark didn't lose me when I left. He lost me when he chose to be someone I could never respect again. That was the moment it ended. I just took longer to walk away. I never spoke to Lily again. But sometimes, absence speaks louder than confrontation. I didn't forgive her. I didn't curse her either. I released her to the consequences she chose. That was enough. Months later, I cut my hair. Not because I was broken, but because I was done carrying old versions of myself. I smiled at my reflection and barely recognized the woman staring back. She looked stronger, quieter, unreachable. The final message I never sent to Mark stayed in my notes app for a long time. I loved you honestly. You loved me carelessly. One day, I deleted it. Closure doesn't require witnesses. If you're listening to this story and you've been betrayed, here's the truth they don't prepare you for. The person who hurt you will always remember what they lost. You don't have to remind them. Your silence will do it for you. I didn't rebuild my life to prove anything. I rebuilt it because I deserved peace. And in the end, that was my victory. Not loud, not cruel, unshakable. Some people lose love. Others lose the privilege of ever touching your life again. And that is the difference between heartbreak and power.